Hello, thank you very much for tuning into this section of reads. This should be on the YouTube channel James 13 Wicca. If you're seeing it somewhere else, it's not correct. The stuff like the decks and the dice, I'm going to put that below. Of course, if you would like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into your selection. Hello, Scorpio. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Scorpio? I don't know why we had that inflection like that, but there you go. Wow, how many cards? How many? We're putting out the whole deck? What's going on? Gotta put the oracle cards out. What are we doing? What are we doing? So this is about a phase. How long? Okay, give us more about the world card, because this is coming from like this is coming from a situation that has not been with you all your life. There's connections, so it could be an organization, a job. It could be maybe if you married into a family, it could be about that family that you married into. Could be if you have children, something about when that started. Whatever started, however you got involved in it, it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was good. So it might be like a job you started, like it wasn't really the job I wanted, but this is what I needed to do. If you married into a family, for example, they might have had some very strong aspects that you did not resonate with, that you did not match up with. But when you got involved with it, you're like, well, it actually served me better than I thought it would. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And maybe there was better connections than I originally thought would be there. Also, like if it was a child thing, maybe a child came into your life and you're like, well, the timing really wasn't ideal for me, or it may have had a rough start in the beginning, and then as time went on, it got better and improved. And that can go in a lot of different ways. It could be like maybe the health wasn't the best, or maybe I had a hard time dealing with the changes in my life, something. But it got better with time. Whenever this came into your life, even if it was a job, life was never the same after it. Life changed completely. And you got a lot of your power from this. Like, it made you very strong. You were probably strong already to begin with, but this created a change in your life to where I feel like you enhanced a lot of characteristics you already had, and you got much more ahead. I feel like I'm looking back going, I didn't think I could handle this, and where I am now in life, I'm like, well, clearly I can, because I am. I feel like that's where I look back and I'm like, I didn't think I could handle this type of stuff, but clearly I can, because I am. And I keep looking at the situation like I couldn't go back to being who I was. I keep looking at it that way too. Like, who I used to be had different feelings and opinions about certain things. I couldn't go back to that now. Now I realize that certain things I can deal with, certain people I can get along with. I just got to handle it a certain way, and I know how to handle what I need to handle. You may have also found that you can be more diplomatic than maybe you thought you could. I keep looking at the situation like there are definitely pieces here that are really kind of unsavory. I don't care for certain pieces of this situation, and I feel like that's not going to change. But there's enough here that I do like, that I can kind of deal with it. I can kind of handle it in a certain way. Maybe sometimes you just don't say anything. You just don't say anything. If you don't feel like you have to, you just don't. Scorpio is very powerful and very mysterious. All the water signs are. I feel like, and I don't know, let me know in the comments. I think Scorpio has a lot of control. And you can kind of move things around as necessary. You can keep yourself occupied with other things, and you can shift your energy quickly if you need to. Doesn't mean your opinions change, but the way you're handling something, you're like, oh, before this is a problem, I'm just going to shift my energy so that you feel the way you feel, but you might shift the way you handle something really fast. You can also deal with a situation without people realizing what you're doing. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? If you need your opinion to be heard, it's almost like I can let it come forward in its own time, in its own way, without saying it directly, and just see what happens. And then if somebody says, Scorpio, is that your opinion? Why are you asking? How is that affecting you? I just feel like, does that make sense? I feel like that might be literally your answer. Like, why is that important now? Why does my opinion about that matter to you? I don't know why I'm being elusive, but I feel like if it's really one of those things where I got to be careful, you know how to keep things secretive. Scorpio can be extremely secretive if they need to be, but you can also push forward information very carefully just to see how people are going to react. You can also bring forward a subject and bring opinions forward and just see how they react to different opinions if you really want to. You're very interesting. You can get people talking about a subject and keep your opinion a complete mystery if you want. I don't know. Why are we going that direction is a great question. There's a lot here with this situation that's very important to you. You got the Lover's card and you got the Knight of Wands. There's something that's unstable with this connection. Am I wrong? Those cards are compatible. They're compatible. They're good together. But there's something about this. Yeah, it seems unstable. 10 of Pentacles reversed. That's unstable. Just flat out up. Okay. And the Judgment card coming in like this, which is telling me it's not always a bad thing. It's not always a good thing either, though. So we'll see. I feel like I have to be elusive if I want this to work. Does that make sense? Like, if I was just bold and said, this is what I think, that, and the other thing, I just feel like it would be very difficult. It reminds me of, like, dealing with an in-law, and it's like, if you tell that in-law what you actually think of them, that's going to create problems. You may not care what they think of you, but you're like, well, they're connected to other people in the family, and that's going to be a different type of issue. And it's kind of like, it's like that. But there are people here that you very much love. So it doesn't have to be a family thing. It could be a business thing, especially in business and corporate situations. Kind of like, if I said what I really thought of these couple people, well, HR would have a lot to say to me. I'm sure. Anyway, it's one of those things. There's a good energy coming forward. Whatever this subject is, whatever we're talking about, where you're very careful and diplomatic and you handle it a certain way, and you're very careful with it, you ebb and flow where you need to. I feel like you've gotten used to the way you handle it. There's certain subjects you try to stay completely away from. Certain things you just try not to talk about. There's a good moment coming in. There's a really good moment coming in. Which we should, why would we feel, I don't know, there's something about it that doesn't feel right. What number is this? 3 of Pentacles. Something good is coming in. The Sun card's coming in. There's a lot of work coming in, a lot of positive energy coming in. They want to give you a heads up about this. Scorpios tend to be intuitive. You tend to be ahead of the curve. At the very least, in my opinion, from the Scorpios that I know, at the very least, you kind of have a feel for the energy you're walking into. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when you walk into a house and you kind of get a whiff of what's really going on there. Everybody might not pick up on it, but you're like, oh, this smells like linens, or this smells like, clover, or, this smells kind of bad, or like, it's just kind of like something doesn't seem right, or something seems really good. Like, you usually get that energy coming off. And I feel like whatever this is, when this good moment comes in, I feel like the energy you're clicking into is like, there needs to be some more work on this situation. I feel like you're immediately going to get, like, it's going good, things are going well, but something needs a little more work here. Something needs a little bit more developing. Something needs some extra attention. I may not know exactly what it is. When it's like, when you get into it, you may not know exactly what it is, but you're like, something here needs a little bit more developing. Something seems just a little bit not quite done. Too soon to take it out of the oven type energy. Even though it's very good. And it seems like you might have the energy where, all right, I've been helping this far. Maybe there's something I can help get this going or continuing in the right direction. Maybe I can help continue this in the right direction. It seems like that's your knee-jerk reaction, which would make sense. It's very responsible, very much you care about the situation. All right, this could use a little bit more developing. Maybe I can assist it and help it keep going in the right direction. I would like to assist with that. But there's another option here. Instead of going that direction, it might behoove you to kind of step back a little bit and kind of like, before I do that, what is going on and why? Because I feel like you're already connecting to, like, it does need a little more developing, yes. And I feel like you're dead on with that. When you connect to it, you're going to be like, yeah, it needs to be developed a bit more. But the question is, what's being done, is that really what's best for this situation? Is this going in a direction of healing and liberation, or controlling and kind of like holding something down and controlling it more? Like, Scorpio doesn't like to be controlled. And I just feel like Scorpio is more of a free energy. So it's kind of like, wait a minute. If you see it, if you step back and you see it, like, no, I don't want to control this. I don't want to stifle this. I don't want to like hold this down. I want to see what's really going on, and I want to teach this energy to self-regulate and to do what it needs to do on its own. So wait a minute, let me step back and see what's really going on here. You're still probably help. I don't see that being the thing, but I get more freedom with stability. If you have a minute to really see it and to see what's really going on, I feel like you're going to make choices where, yes, I want to help this develop in a positive way, but in more self-regulating, more liberating, like positive liberation energy, not controlling, hold it down. If you do it the way I say, you're going to be okay, so do it the way I say. Like, I hope this is making sense, because like, your energy wants to help in a liberating way, not in a hold it down control way. So, and I feel like if you step back, you'll see that, like, wait a minute, the way this is going, it is helping, but I don't feel like that's the best for the long run. I feel like maybe I can help promote this and keep this, building, but in a way that's more liberating. And there's a choice here to be made with that. But you have to step back. You don't have to do anything. If you step back, you're more likely to see it and make a decision what you feel is right. Because I feel like as long as you see what's actually going on, you can make an educated decision, like how you will help in a way that makes better sense to you. Is that a time for a treat? Is that what that says? What does that say? It's time for a treat. Yeah. The energy needs to pull back a little bit. There's something with control that needs to kind of be, I don't think it needs to be called out. It just needs to be handled differently. And you might have that influence. You might have the ability to have that influence here to kind of bring in some more fun, ironically, with the treat. Because there's not a lot of, like, it's a dark card with some candy on it, which is kind of making me feel like the whole situation is not going to be fun, but it needs a little bit of fun. needs a little bit of happiness. And I feel like you might be able to help develop it further with some happiness and joy added in that maybe wasn't there before. And that can make a world of difference for the situation. It could also be very liberating and very healthy for it. You could help the situation become more self-actualizing. Self-actualizing? I know there's one more here, so sweet memories. Whatever the situation is, it will go on its own at some point. It's going to have to self-regulate. But if it's used to being controlled too much, when the controls are lifted, that could be a big problem. So I don't know what we're going with here, but I'm getting the way you're going. I feel like you would already see that. You're like, yeah, well, it kind of reminds me of like raising a kid. And like, I remember having friends as I was a teenager where their parents were very, very controlling. And then those kids, when they got into college, they could do anything. They could do it any way they wanted to, and some of them went cuckoo and made a lot of devastating choices. So it's kind of like you want to teach them before they get there to regulate themselves. You don't want to control something so much that when they finally become free, they go wild and possibly have devastating consequences because of it. Your influence here can be harsh if it needs to be, but can also be very loving. The Queen of Swords has there's a lot of different notes. There's a lot of different tones, a lot of different flavors to the Queen of Swords. She has the control to be very nice and very loving if she wants to, but very harsh and very direct if she needs to be. She usually mixes a bunch of different flavors at once. You can be that energy. There's a lot of communication that needs to happen here and a lot of introspection. You could help develop the situation in a way that makes better sense. What was the last card? It's time to be brave. This situation, it could feel like I'm rocking the boat so hard that it's gonna capsize. It may feel like that sometimes. Like I'm rocking this boat so hard that it could capsize, and I don't know if I really want to do that. I've done really well being diplomatic this whole time, but I feel like this is one of those times where it's worth it. It's time to like do it the way you need to do it, and maybe step back from other people's feelings and put forward the way it needs to be done. Step back from how you worry about other people's feelings? Is that what I was supposed to say? Did I say that wrong? Step back from worrying about how other people will react to what you do, and just do what you do. You know what I mean? I feel like you've been very regulated and very careful. And they're saying there's a moment coming where it's like, just be who you are. Just be who you are to let the situation have its chance. And it may not be in front of everybody, but there may be some select few where it's like you just let yourself be who you are, and they either like it or they don't. And it'll work out in your benefit, more than likely. It's a general read, but you know what I'm saying. Is there anything else? No. I'm holding these, but they're like, nope, we're done. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email. jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.